Two people cut the same onion at the same table with the same knife. One of them is fine. The other one is basically sobbing within 10 seconds. Same onion, same room, same everything. So why does one person's face turn into a waterfall while the other barely blinks? The answer isn't just onions make you cry, because if that were true, everyone would cry exactly the same amount. They don't. And the real reason comes down to something happening inside your eyes that most people have never actually heard explained. Let's start with what's actually happening when you cut an onion. Onions store sulfur compounds in their cells specifically to protect themselves. Because in nature, being eaten by animals is bad for an onion's survival odds. When your knife slices through those cells, it triggers a chemical reaction, and the onion releases a gas called syn-propanethial S-oxide. That gas floats up, hits the surface of your eyes, and mixes with your tears to form a mild sulfuric acid. Your eyes sense this as an irritant, and your brain triggers your tear ducts to flush it out. That's the crying. It's not sadness, it's a defense mechanism. You're basically getting attacked by a vegetable's chemical weapon, and your eyes are washing off the residue. Here's where it gets interesting, because this is the part almost nobody explains properly. Not everyone reacts to that gas the same way, and it comes down to a few real biological differences. First, eye sensitivity. Some people simply have more sensitive corneal nerve endings than others. The same amount of gas hits the eye, but a more sensitive eye sends a stronger, irritant signal to the brain, triggering more tears. Second, blink rate. People who blink less frequently while concentrating, which happens a lot when you're focused on cutting something precisely, give the gas more time to sit on the eye surface before it's naturally washed away by a blink. Less blinking, more exposure, more crying. Third, tear duct anatomy. Some people have slightly narrower or more reactive tear ducts, meaning the same irritation produces a faster, heavier tear response. This is largely genetic. You didn't choose this, your eyes just came built this way. And fourth, on proximity and technique. Simple as it sounds, people who hold their face closer to the cutting board or cut faster and more aggressively, which releases more gas at once, expose themselves to a higher concentration than someone who cuts slower from a bit further away. So the difference between the person barely blinking and the person crying isn't really about toughness. It's a combination of genetics, habits, and how you're physically positioned over the onion. It's not just about the person, it's also about the onion itself. Stronger flavored onions, like yellow onions, produce significantly more of that irritant gas than milder onions, like sweet or red onions. This is because the sulfur compounds that create the strong flavor are the exact same compounds responsible for the gas. Basically, the more pungent the onion tastes, the more it's going to make you cry. Freshness matters too. A freshly harvested onion tends to release more gas than one that's been stored a while because some of those sulfur compounds break down naturally over time in storage. There are a lot of hacks people swear by to stop onion tears, so let's go through which ones are backed by the actual chemistry and which ones are just internet folklore. Refrigerating the onion before cutting. This one actually works. Cold temperatures slow down the chemical reaction that releases the irritant gas, meaning less of it escapes into the air. Cutting near running water or a fan? This one also works, but for a very simple reason. It's not neutralizing the chemical, it's just physically diluting or redirecting the gas away from your eyes before it reaches them. Wearing goggles? This genuinely works, for the most literal reason possible. It physically blocks the gas from reaching your eyes at all. Chewing gum while cutting. This one's mostly a myth. The theory is that breathing through your mouth avoids nasal irritation, but the gas primarily affects your eyes, not your nose, so gum has little real effect on the crying itself. Using a very sharp knife. This one is actually true, and it's underrated. A sharp knife crushes fewer onion cells per cut, which means less of the gas-releasing reaction happens overall. A dull knife smashes more cells than it cleanly cuts, releasing significantly more gas in the process. Here's something most people don't know. Professional chefs deal with this constantly, and one of the most common tricks in professional kitchens isn't a gadget or a gimmick. It's simply cutting the root end of the onion last. The root contains the highest concentration of those sulfur compounds, so leaving it for last minimizes how long you're exposed to the most potent part of the onion. And zooming out even further, this entire defense system exists because evolutionarily, onions can't run away from things that want to eat them. So instead, they developed a chemical irritant as their version of self-defense. In a strange way, every time you cry cutting an onion, you're on the losing end of a plant's multi-million-year-old survival strategy. So the next time someone teases you for crying more than everyone else at the cutting board, the truth is, it's not weakness. It's a specific combination of your eye sensitivity, your blink rate, your tear duct anatomy, and even how close you're leaning over the onion. Meanwhile, the person who barely blinks isn't tougher. They've just got a slightly different setup. Your body has all these small, personalized defense systems running constantly, and most of the time you never even notice them working until something like a sliced onion sets them off. If a vegetable can trigger a full defense response in your eyes without you even realizing it's happening, it makes you wonder what else your body's quietly reacting to every day without you noticing. That's exactly the kind of question this channel exists to answer. New why every week. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.